Hi, guys. It's me, Mr. Bertoch, your incredibly handsome science teacher who is wearing plaid because plaid is my favorite color. And in this video, we are going to be learning about buoyancy. And yes, plaid is a color, well, in my opinion anyway. I can't actually support that opinion with any facts or evidence, but in my opinion, plaid is a color and it is the bestiest of all colors. So in this video, we're talking about buoyancy. We're talking about why things float, what causes things to float. In another video, the video on density, I talk about some of the factors that lead to certain substances rising and or floating and other substances sinking when they are together. And in that video, we learned that more dense substances sink and less dense substances rise. But we never talk specifically about buoyancy, which is very closely related. In fact, it's like the same thing. It's just another way of looking at the same problem. It's another way of discussing the same issue. So we're going to talk specifically about buoyancy now and some of the principles relating to buoyancy. But here is the dealio, and my face is getting brighter, which means the sun's probably rising all of a sudden in the middle of my video. Darn sun. Anyway, here's the dealio. Buoyancy is both a simple and also a very complex topic to discuss. It's simple in that we can describe buoyancy in very simple terms and have a discussion about it, and you can understand those terms fairly, well, I won't say easy, but with a little bit of thought and effort. But also, we can get into some pretty heavy physics when talking about buoyancy. And we can, there's a lot of formulas we can use. A lot of them are different flavors of the same formula, just written different ways, but that help us to solve different problems. And so buoyancy is something taught both in lower grades, in more simple terms, but it's also a topic that is treated in like a physics class, in a high school physics or college physics class, where they will give you really challenging problems. Like, how much pressure is this helium balloon exerting on the string? And you have to understand buoyancy in order to solve that problem. We're not going to go to that level of complexity in this video. That is not our goal. Our goal in this video is to simply understand what buoyancy is. So I am not going to be talking about formulas, mathematical formulas in this video. Instead, I'm simply going to be talking about what buoyancy is and how it works. I mean, I am going to talk about one very easy formula to understand, and that is the Archimedes principle. But we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, let's talk about floating. So buoyancy refers to the ability to float, something to float in a fluid. What, pray tell, dear half-size humans, is a fluid? What does that mean? When I say float on a fluid, aside from being alliterative and sounding great, what am I talking about? A fluid in everyday in the world typically is considered to be a liquid. So typically when I say fluid, I'm referring to a liquid in normal circumstances. But in science, that's not the case. In science, a fluid is any substance where the molecules can slide and move around past each other. So in science, a fluid is both a liquid and a gas. Both are fluid. Both can move around. Okay. So things float in fluids, which means they float not just in liquids, but also in gases. This is why a helium balloon floats in air, because the air is, in fact, a fluid. So that's the first thing to understand. So whether or not something floats in that fluid depends on whether it is positively buoyant, whether it is the buoyancy is neutral, or whether it has a negative buoyancy. If it has a positive buoyancy in that fluid, then that object or substance is going to float. If it has a neutral buoyancy compared to that fluid, then it's going to be neutral, and it's going to just move around neutrally. It's not going to rise or sink. I mean, it might with the currents in that fluid, but it's just going to move around with it. If it has a negative buoyancy, then it's going to sink. The more positive the buoyancy, the faster it will rise, and the more difficult it will be to pull it underneath the fluid. So think of a beach ball. A beach ball on top of the ocean water is really, really hard to pull down because it's got such a positive buoyancy. It doesn't want to go down. It takes a lot of effort to squirm it underwater. Fish very often have a neutral buoyancy in water, and so they are the same buoyancy very often, and so they just kind of float around. And then a rock has a negative buoyancy, and so it goes plump and it sinks to the bottom pretty quickly. Okay, so those are the factors that influence whether something is going to float or neutrally just kind of swish around with the currents or sink to the bottom. Well, how do we know if something has a positive buoyancy, a neutral buoyancy, or a negative buoyancy? And how do we calculate that? And how do we determine what that number of the buoyancy is? Okay, well, now we're getting into like high school and college stuff. So there are formulas that we can use to calculate the exact buoyancy of an object. But I'm not going to get into that in this video, except to say that, again, it has to do with their density. Something that is more dense rises above something that is less dense. For example, and by the way, what is density? Density is how compact an object is. To learn more about what density is, watch my density video, but it's essentially how squished up, how squishity up it is, how compact, how close together the molecules are, the more dense it is. So if an object is more dense than the fluid it's in, it's going to sink, like a rock in water. If it's less dense, the molecules are more spread out, it's going to rise. Well, there was this guy once upon a time in the land of Syracuse. And there was a town called Syracuse in Utah where I'm from, but it wasn't that Syracuse. It was another Syracuse in ancient Greece. There was this guy, and his name was Archimedes. And he discovered this principle about buoyancy where he took objects and he submerged them in water. Well, what happens when you submerge an object in water? What happens to the level of the water? I mean, it rises, right? So if I take, I don't know, let's say a crown, because that's what Archimedes is famous for. If I take a crown and I put it in water, the water is going to rise. And if I start with the water even with the top, some of it's going to spill out. Well, Archimedes noticed that if you take the amount of water that spills out, so let's say I take a large bowl and I fill it right to the brim with water, and then I drop a ball into it, and some of the water spills out, and I collect the water. If I weigh the water, then if the weight of the water that spills out of the bowl is heavier then the ball is going to float. If the weight of the water that spills out is lighter or less than the weight of the ball, then the ball is going to sink. In other words, if the ball is heavier, okay? And this goes back to density, because the thing is, the amount of water spilling out is exactly equal to the volume of the ball. See, now I'm getting into the physics of this, and it's going to like explode your brain. And I don't want to really explode your brain. But in a nutshell, and it's okay if you don't understand this part, you can just tune me out. But for those who are curious, if you think about it, the amount of water that spills out of the bowl is exactly equal to the volume of the ball. And we learn when we talk about density, we learn that the formula for density is density equals mass divided by volume. So mass is equal to weight. Okay, I talk about that in my mass video. And so I have the mass and the volume of the water and the mass and the volume of the ball. Both of those are density, right? Mass and volume, because the volume is the same on both sides. So the only thing that's different between the two is the mass or the weight. So if the water is heavier, then it has a greater mass divided by volume, and that's going to result in a greater density. And same on the other side with the ball. And I don't know which side I started with, but anyway, it all comes down to density, really. But what Archimedes discovered is in 2,000 years ago is that objects, if we put them in a bowl or a container filled to the brim with water, allow the water to spill out, and then weigh the water or the fluid, because it doesn't just have to be water, it could be any fluid. If the weight of the fluid is greater, then the object is going to float. If the weight of the fluid is less, then the object is going to sink. In other words, if the weight of the object is greater, then the object is going to sink. And that is called the Archimedes principle. Now, one more thing I want to talk about in this video on buoyancy, and that is why. Why? I don't know. Because that's what my kids say. Anyway, why do objects sink and float in a fluid if they are less dense? Then they rise. If they're more dense, they sink. Why? What is creating this pressure, this buoyancy force? And the answer is, and I'm sure you've experienced this, have you ever jumped into a swimming pool? Maybe you dropped something on the bottom of the pool. Maybe you were swimming along and you dropped your little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy at the bottom of the pool, and you're like, darn it, that was Raphael, and I really like Raphael. He's my favorite. He is my favoriteest. That was my favorite turtle, Raphael. Anyway, and you're like, I got to get my Raphael turtle back. So you dive down to the bottom, and what happens? The further down you go, like your ears start to hurt, right? You're like, ouch. The lower I go, the more ouchy this is. And why? Why is that happening to you? Well, the answer is the further you go down, the more pressure there is. The deeper you go into a fluid, the greater the pressure is. Then you can't help. There's going to be a difference between the bottom of you and the top of you. So if I am diving to the bottom of a pool, my head is going to experience greater pressure than my piggy toes. My piggy toes, my sweet little piggy toes that went to the market and did all those things and went wee all the way home. They're going to be up towards a higher, up towards the top of the pool, and my head is being squashed down at the bottom of the pool. Well, that's creating, if you think about it, it's creating a force that's going to push me upwardly, because it's squeezing my head tighter than my feet. And so that's pushing me up towards the surface. And that we call that a buoyancy force. And it doesn't matter how big the object is. Even if the object is like an inch long, there's still going to be a greater pressure at the bottom of it than there is at the top of it. Because the deeper I go into the fluid, the greater the squeezing is, the squishing, the squashing, the squashling I will be being squashulated more, whichever part of me is deeper in the water. And so that's going to squeeze the bottom and squish me up like this and push me up towards the surface. And that is what is creating buoyancy. Hi guys, thanks for watching my video. These rambling science videos where I go unscripted and just kind of barf up all the science knowledge out of my head are part of a series that go along with an online class that I teach, which you can sign up for if you go to handsomescienceteacher.com. I also have a whole bunch of free resources for homeschoolers. I have hundreds of articles on every topic that covers your entire science curriculum from 5th through 8th grade. I have online games and quizzes, all curated and written by this handsome guy, a science teacher with, well, three degrees, but 2 of them are in science. So it's targeted right to and directly to your science students. So sign up, subscribe to the channel, and I release lots of videos. Also, in addition to these ones, lots of little short videos that are like 2 minutes long that cover science topics. Those ones you don't get to see my handsome face, but they're still good videos and they're much more targeted, and those ones are scripted, so you don't have to hear me like you are right now going blah blah blah. The end. Subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.